Hello, welcome back. We are ready to get into the swing again. I hope you enjoyed a little recap of the alignment principles, and we're going to put it all into place now, bringing together everything we've done for the last couple days, having it make more sense by feeling it in the body. So let's go ahead and get in the swing. And I'm going to start out just like we always do in the sumo. Find your pillar, find your alignment. It all happens a little quicker each time with repetition. We're going to come in, feet in the center of the mat, slide it to 12 o'clock, and let's just start like we'd like to do in our weeping willow. Let's do the feet together at first. Just gently rock from side to side, feeling the position of the head, the heart, and the pelvis, bringing it all together now. Feel these three hubs of the body. Can you get the head and tailbone communicating with one another now and working together? Can you let the center of the chest be where the movement initiates from? Letting the heart blossom open as you let the head sink back, pushing the hips up gently, and grounding through the feet, finding that lift as well as the groundedness, balancing gravity. Let yourself come to center. Let's heel toe wide, 10 and 2. Transition to a forearm press and just let the body rock. We're going to hang out here for a little longer and really play with the position of the hips while we bring awareness to both the chest and the head. Find the pillar, spin along the central axes. Now that we really understand the two pyramids of the body, the lower pyramid and upper pyramid, arms are engaged, hips are heavy, head is relaxed right over the spine. And just enjoy the feeling of exploring and playing in the body, how that really opens up the curiosity and the creative child that can be easy about it and allow yourself to have a little bit more fun. Some of us, not all of us, but some of them have lost our sense of play when it comes to exercise. There's been a lot of encouragement through the media and gyms of hard body, boot camp, blah, blah, blah. And that's when I really started to emphasize the quantum playground and encouraging people to play more. I am definitely one of those people that got sucked into being too serious and too hard on myself, and it's a really good challenge for me to slow it down, have some fun, and then so much more accessibility comes. We will try some flips and some tricks after we learn the pivot points of the body, and I'll get a little bit more into that today. I don't expect you to get it all in one foul swoop, but I do want to show you and work up to it. That's what we've been working up to. So again, just this gentle rocking from side to side just feels so good on the hips. Engage the arms. Can you find those energy lines we worked on that extend out through the chest, right? Long lines of energy throughout the body, through the legs, through the limbs, connecting to the core. Right, the center line, both of the belly, the chest, and allowing the head to float perfectly stacked on top of the body. Very good. Okay, so we're going to get the leg loops on and go right into our floating Buddha sequence. That's with the leg loops at the ankles. Let's start with the left. Lift your leg. Remember that core activation that we do to make sure we're lifting from our torso, and get the leg loops on the ankles. Extending one, and then extending the other. Do a few core activations in between. Always warming up. Making sure our belly is nice and strong. And connecting the lower sphere to the upper sphere, or the lower back to the upper back. Typically, people have one or the other. Some people are super lucky and have pain or discomfort in both. But it's usually one or the other is really locked up. And of course that has to do with the chakras and the energy centers and the symbolic meaning of each one of those holds. You can look up Carolyn Mace and her Anatomy of the Spirit if you want to learn more about the chakras and go into their meaning. I also do that kind of body mapping in my private practice if you want to do that together. Whatever makes it more fun for you. But let's go ahead and go through our vinyasa sequence with the emphasis on these 3 spheres and pulling everything together from the upper and lower bodies that we learned the last couple days. Okay, so from a wide straddle, T the arms. Feel the lift in the chest as you engage the arms, really reaching through the fingertips and toes. Lean back with just your heart into a superstar. Right? Superstar is when we shake it out. If your head needs support, if you're feeling any strain in the neck, bend your elbows and support your head. Namaste, hands to prayer around the swing. Toes touch, push up. From there, coming into reverse. I'm going to turn around in just a moment here so we can do this together. But for now, we're just going to reach up, grab for the swing. Go ahead and slide into your ladle pose. And from here, I want you to try and extend your arms wide and overhead, pouring the energy down. Stay here as I turn around. We're going to stay in ladle for a few breaths. And I'm going to quickly transition so you can see me in the other direction. You can just stay where you are as I move to meet you here. Okay, great. Much better. Especially if we're going to go upside down, which we might, most likely. Okay, from ladle, you can stay holding on, and what I want you to do is externally rotate your shoulders, right? I'm turning my thumbs out, and squeeze the bottom tips of the shoulder blades together. Toes touch, creating the inner spiral, and then bring your arms wide and around and overhead. So feel the energy pouring out like a ladle, right? It's pouring out the front of the body. This big arch. Let the arch come from the back of the heart. Find that space. Pushing the tailbone up. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So from here, we're going to swim the arms back up and grab the swing. I like to do some core activation from here. I call it rowing. So you're going to transition to the leg loops at the arches of the feet. It makes it a little bit easier to press into your feet. We're going to bicep curl and come up with the upper body. This might be enough for you today. So just do some bicep curls. Make sure you're not yanking on your head, but can you feel your belly working to keep the body, the entire spine from tailbone to crown of the head in a straight line? Okay, if this feels easy enough for you to do, we're going to include knees lifting to come towards your chest. Extend and then squeeze. Inhale, extend, marry the breath. Exhale, squeeze. Good. My hands are just sliding up and down. So if you feel stronger in your core, I'm not using my arms to lift. I'm just using my belly. Inhale, extend. Exhale, squeeze. We're pumping the energy through the spine, starting to activate the microcosmic orbit, Kundalini energy, as well as once these spheres get into alignment, we can spin through the breath. Alrighty, now we're going to come up and take a little rest. Go ahead and bring your legs wide and come to sit. I'm going to stay in this position. You can transition to ankles. Chillaxing arms, windshield wipers, sway it up. We are going to come through that one more time, so I'm just going to stay in this direction. You can have big spins, or if you're feeling like keeping it chill and mellow, tiny little windshield wipers, micro movements. Feel your hips, dropping the hips a lot, even more than you think. Lifting the chest a lot without moving the hips, right? That dynamic traction and tension in the swing is happening here. And the head, I'm pulling straight up with the crown of the head. I'm using my hands to lift. It feels really good. Awesome. Let's come on back to center and let's try it again. Inhale, wide straddle T. Exhale, star. Just do that little movement where you're finding the arch from the upper thoracic spine. That's what this exercise is helping us by representing these tiny little micro movements from the upper body where the lower body stays exactly as it is. After you find your star, hands to prayer, namaste, around the swing, squeeze the toes together and lift. It's a big stretch. Now we're stretching the front of the chest, the front of the neck. This is a very important cue in terms of releasing the tension in the back body. Then reach up and grab onto the swing. Externally rotate the shoulders, right? Turning your thumbs out. Wiggle the swing into the sweet spot. And instead of doing the rowing exercises, I'm going to pretend like I'm sneezing. It's like a right? And I'm going to use my belly and do the breath of fire like this to help pump more energy through the front of the spine. So do it with me if you're ready, or just stay here and take some deep breaths. Let's do 10. And relax. Okay, cool. Now, don't yank on your neck when you do that as much as you're engaging through your core, and you're doing these tiny little crunches. Then we're going to wrap our legs wide and around, right? We just changed planes there. So bring your legs from the back plane to the side and wrap them around front. Okay, now my tailbone is facing the sky, so the crown of the head can face the ground. And from here, I'm just going to do a little wiggling from side to side. We are going to try some inversion sit-ups if you're up for it. You don't have to do them, but they feel amazing. So first, let's get the upper body stretched, walking your fingers to the back of the mat, really arching from the upper thoracic back. And feet together, pushing the knees wide, hips can come forward, and just gentle rocking from side to side just feels really, really good on the spine. Add more twists and turns in your practice. This helps open up the spin. The Merkaba spin has a lot to do with how much movement we can have in the spine, in the body. Okay? So the one action that we can do if you're new to the practice is you can just hold on to the elbows and let your body rock back and forth. This is getting into a little bit more intermediate advanced, but if you want to do more of a beginner inversion, just rock back and forth. So you're arching and crunching as if you're doing a cat-cow upside down. Arch and crunch. Maybe that's enough for today. You don't have to go too far. You can stay here and spin with your hands on the ground. But for those that want to do some crunches and sit-ups upside down, we're going to hold on to the leg loops with our hands and come into a wide straddle. And then crunch, bicep curls, crunch, crunch. I like to do a lot of core exercises while in extension, because this will help release any tension in the lower back and strengthen the muscles around the spaciousness. So you can do this just with holding the leg loops with your hands, or go into a wrist wrap if you want a little bit more support. And then from there, if anybody wants to go into big sit-ups, we're going to wrap our legs around. You don't have to do too many of these because they are pretty intense. But with the legs straight, we're going to try and touch our toes, okay? You can just do little tiny pulses like this with your hands up the whole time. You really don't even have to touch your toes. You can just go towards them. But this is going to be really amazing for both the lower, middle, and upper. If you want to do a bigger one, you can use a little momentum. Bring your hands down and then reach up for your toes using a little bit more oomph. This helps us prepare to come up into flips and high sky dive. Do the version that you like. Come on down. Hold on to the leg loops with your hands, wide straddle, and then come to sit. Nice and slow. Come on down to your sumo squat with control. Stay seated in your sumo squat. I'm going to come out and turn around so you can see me. And just take a moment to see how that felt. We just pumped so much energy into the body. So staying in our sumo squat, getting all the benefits of the pose, acclimating to being upright again is super duper important after we go into active. Whew, catch your breath. We're going to go through that one more time without the sit-ups. We're going to try going into some of the ollies and splits and some of those things from the inverted position. If the inversions are not your jam yet, I encourage you to just observe and watch, or stay in floating Buddha and keep practicing the vinyasa flow, going back and forth into a ladle position. You don't have to wrap your legs around, but that is a half inversion, and that'll eventually work you up to being more comfortable upside down. You don't have to go all the way around to get the benefits of it. But for those that love going upside down and want to practice the back bends and inversions, it's a great way for moving energy through the spine, using gravity to bring more blood and oxygen to the brain. This will increase the neural pathways, the transmitters, the synapses. It brings more creativity and relaxes the mind, as well as releases happy hormones from the pineal and pituitary and hypothalamus. So many benefits. It actually will help you sleep better and help regulate your sleep as well. So much benefit to tuning the brain. Let's get back into our leg loops, this time a little bit more quickly. Go ahead and karate chop the leg up there using your core. Leg loops at the ankles, both sides. Going back into windshield wipers. Remember, it's okay to stay here. There's no rush in time. The inversions will get easier and easier. But I do want to start incorporating more of the pivot points and how we can leverage our energy for these things to become effortless. So we're using momentum to gently rock from side to side, hips heavy, heart open, head relaxed. Really good. Come on back through center. Wide straddle T, star. Practice that a couple times. Notice my hips don't move at all. Open up the chest by simply rotating, pushing the upper back into the swing. Support the head if you need. No strain in the neck, right? We're so used to kinking at the cervical spine, it might automatically drop back too far. Let it just come from the heart. And then namaste. Namaste, hands to prayer, toes touch, push the hips up, lean back. Really good. From here, hold on to the swing and wiggle it into the low back. So from here, make your choice of whether inversions are your jam today or whether you're just going to hang out here. You can do your little crunches. You can come all the way up to sit and traction the back by letting the swing slide up and down if that feels really good. On the back, on the paraspinals. If you want to come all the way around, I want you to work on this pivot point of bringing the legs wide and then to the sides and then to the front plane, toes touch. You want to be able to see your toes when you look up. That's how you know your legs are wrapped around. From this position, we're going to adjust the swing by adding some twists from side to side. Let it slide down so it's right across the top of the hips. We don't want it squeezing the love handles, if you will. And then come to the front of the mat. Walking your hands forward, shoulder distance, arms are nice and strong, pulling forward, stretching the belly. Lift from the heart, let the crown of the head point to the front of the room here. Bring the legs wide. Let's play a little bit with ollieing from side to side. Maybe come up on one hand and then the other hand and playing with balance, adding a twist. You can have the arms stack coming into a T, letting the legs be heavy. Play with rocking the pelvis from side to side. Really strong arms, right? You have the lower body playing in the space, but you're going to stack the shoulders and make sure the joints are happy. Reaching up. So this is an ollie, but we're doing it with a twist and leaving the leg loops on. Really good. Inhale, pull forward. Exhale, press back. This is an upside down dog with a wide straddle. If your legs don't feel comfortable in that position, go back to toes touching. You can keep the Baddha Konasana legs, no problem. Inhale, lift, get the stretch in the belly. Exhale, strengthen the shoulders, keeping them plugged in. Press your chest back to the center of the mat. Inhale, pull forward and lift. Really good, arching right behind the heart. Exhale, lean back. Okay, we're gonna try a flip. This is the roundhouse flip. Inhale, pull forward, get spring loaded, and then release your hands. You're gonna tuck in like you're doing a sit-up. Reach up and grab for the swing. Let the legs go wide and around, and you'll come back to sit. So that is our roundhouse flip. Let's try it again. I want you to really focus on the position of the hips. Notice that when you drop the hips, the head lifts, and when you lift the hips, the head drops. So that's what we're working on right now, is to understand the energy of the body. Now that we've opened up the lines of energy in the legs, in the torso, and the arms, it makes it much easier for us to learn a flip. Most people are just yanking on their head to try to get the momentum. Just know that the energy in your pelvis has everything to do with how easy this flip will be for you. So if this is new to you, just bring your awareness and your attention down to your pelvis instead of moving from the head space. Just try it, okay? So let's go into it one more time. T, star, namaste. Press the hips up, holding on to the swing, wiggling it across the top of the hips. Legs go wide and around. Point the tailbone towards the sky. Play with that pivot point. So legs go wide. Point your tailbone towards the sky and your head comes straight down. Perfect. From there, toes touch. Bring the hands down to the ground. Walk them to the front of the mat. So I call this an up dog. And then we can press our chest to the center of the mat, down dog. You can keep your legs exactly as you are. But if you want to try the flip, bring your legs into a wide straddle. I have to push down into the leg loops so that my legs are in a T, right? Parallel to the floor, coming straight out of the hips. From here, inhale, pull forward, exhale, press back. Try doing this nice and slow and controlled, stacking the arms, straight arms, open up from the chest. Now we're going to inhale, pull forward past the fingertips so you're spring loaded. From here, do a big sit-up. Let your hands grab for the swing. Pull forward, grab for the swing. Let your hips drop. Yeah, the swing will start to slide up behind the heart again. That can be really fun. Make sure you have enough room behind you. I'm doing just a little swing so my head doesn't hit the curtains and window. So make sure you have enough space wherever you are to do the roundhouse flip. Feels really, really good when you get the pivot point to the hips. This is all the review that we learn in the AYP practice. But now I want us to continue to pay attention to these three spheres and find the alignment of them. Like I said, we have to bring more attention into our hips and dropping our hips. And let the head relax back so we're not leading with the head, we're leading with the heart. Let the energy of the heart blossom here. Just take a few moments to relax. That was really nice, really beautiful. So those were our back bends for today with some core activations and then getting into some inversions and flips. If for any reason getting into an inversion with the leg loops at the ankles doesn't feel just right for you yet, we're going to review going into it with the leg loops all the way up into high skydiver. We obviously can get there from chillaxing as well, but let's pull the leg loops up to the knees and then reach for the top of the leg loops. Keep pulling them up so that they're at the tops of the thighs. This is way, way easier in terms of learning the pivot point at the hips. And once we get this pivot point down, then we can come into our high flyers and do all kinds of tricks and flips. But there's no reason to rush into it or try to muscle your way through it. It's much easier to just let the energy move you and work from that space. So let's go over this again with our emphasis on the pivot point. I'm going to stand at the center of the mat, push the swing down with your forearms. I like to reach around and grab for the leg loop. Okay, it's just a natural fit. The swing is being positioned across the hips with your forearms this way. Now walk your feet to the front of the mat, and we're going to work on that same pivot point, okay? So just notice, if we're trying to keep our body in a straight line like a plank, when my head leans back, my hips are going to lift up, and then I immediately bring my legs wide, okay? So let's try that again. Head leans back, hips lift up, legs go wide. Yeah. So the leg loops are really helping us find that pivot point. Lean back, legs lift wide, and as the tailbone points up, the head points down, then the knees can bend and the feet find the front plane. So again, reversing it, legs go wide, drop the hips. So we have to reverse it and drop the hips first, not try to lift the head, right? So head goes back, hips lift up, hips come down, head lifts up. This is a great way to play with it and find it. Okay, so from here, let's use that same information and that same knowledge to do what I call the training wheel, right? I mentioned before that this was part of the training wheel sequence. So we're gonna think of the hips as a wheel, kind of like how a wheel goes around on a train, like with the axle. So we went into just our simple core exercises here with the leg loops nice and high. And I encourage you to do a little bicep curl so you can feel that lift, so the toes can come a little higher, right? So if you lean back, the toes can come up towards the sky, and then you can roll down again. Sometimes this comes really easy to people, and sometimes it takes a little bit of effort to change the linear movements in the body. So again, be patient with it, but it's the same pivot point. As soon as you lean your head back, your hips can lift up more, okay? But it's almost like you're pulling with your arms so that you can keep that L shape in the body. So at first we just keep an L shape. Then you can actually bring your knees towards your forehead and sandwich into a plow, and then roll back down. Okay? So we go from an L shape to a sandwich, holding on strongly with my hands. And that's how we can find the wheel in the hips. We were trying to point our tailbone towards the sky, right? In order to do that, our head has to come back, and we pull the knees towards the forehead. Good. Yeah, so just play with some of the pivot points and getting into balancing the spheres. It's really about bringing our power down to our belly by strengthening our core, moving from the pivot point and the apex of the heart so the head can just stay in alignment with the body. Okay, great. Let's pause here.